Hello everyone, so today we are in Total War Pharaoh Dynasties, and one of the new aspects of the game that I find to be the best part of the new update are some of the new factions, including Assyria and the Nairi and the Elamites, who are listed under Mesopotamian culture, and I understand why, though they were technically a little bit different. I'll explain a little bit about that as we continue in the campaign, but I want to show you some of the cool aspects of this. So over here it says the culture is Elamite. The king's name is Halutash in Shushinak. Of course, in Shushinak was the king of the Elamite pantheon. And the dynasty name were the Shutrakids, so that's what that means. And then their capital was at Susa. Now, if we take a look at their units, there's something that is a little bit confusing. So here it says local deities in Shushinak. That's pretty good. But the confusing thing for a lot of people is over here it says native Haltamti units. So Haltamtu is actually the way to say elam in the Elamite language. So the Elamites, there were a few different languages that were spoken in Mesopotamia at this time. So Sumerian, of course, died around the end of the 3rd millennium BC or the beginning of the 2nd millennium BC. And it was, at this point in the late 2nd millennium, relegated to ritual function. So it was used kind of like how Latin is used in the Catholic Church today or classical Armenian in the Armenian Church today. So Sumerian was no longer alive, but still used. And of course, the whole Mesopotamian writing system, cuneiform, was based on the Sumerian language because it was originally invented to write Sumerian. Elamite was the other major language of the region. It was written in cuneiform, again influenced by Sumerian, but it was its own language, not related to Sumerian at all. And of course, the main language, we could say, was Akkadian. So Babylonian was one dialect of Akkadian, and Assyrian was the northern dialect of Akkadian. And Akkadian is an East Semitic language, and there are no more East Semitic languages anymore. Akkadian was the last one, and we know about. And all the other Semitic languages today, like Arabic and Hebrew, are West Semitic or Southwest or Northwest Semitic languages. So, Akkadian was an Eastern Semitic language, and Assyrian and Babylonian were dialects of that language. And actually, the language, or the lingua franca, the diplomatic language of the entire ancient Middle East, was Akkadian, and specifically a certain variety of Babylonian was the standard diplomatic dialect. So now let's get into the campaign here as the Elamites, as Haltamtu, and let's see what we can do. All right, so here we are in the campaign map for Total War Pharaoh, and I used elam as for my footage in my sort of semi-review video for Total War Pharaoh Dynasties. And there was a comment I got there about how the map looked a little barren. And that's because of elam. So if you go to other parts of the map, there are far more assets and it's far more detailed. But elam is a little bit barren, because that's what the landscape was. Now, when you start off as Elam, you notice you have 3 cities, your 3 settlements, and you have most of Elam province. So this town, Pashime, is considered to be part of northern Elam province. So our first goal is definitely to take that province, unite all of northern Elam, and then get access to edicts for our full province. Now, aside from that, We also have access to royal decrees. And, I always like to improve happiness first so that we have fewer issues related to public order. And there are a couple of other things I want to talk about here before we get started. So, as Elam, we have 3 settlements, and our capital is Susa. And of course, Susa was the most important Elamite settlement, and it remained important into the Achaemenid Persian period, even the Seleucid period, the Seleucid Empire. And Susa was actually, you could call it the real capital of the Achaemenid Empire, because it was really Darius the Great's favorite city in terms of his royal capitals. There were a few in the Achaemenid Empire. It wasn't just Persepolis. Of course, there was Anshan farther to the southeast, and that's why this province is called Northern Elam, because there are other major settlements that were known to be part of Elam in this period, like Anshan, where Cyrus the Great was originally the king of. And yeah, anyway, for one reason or another, it's not included in Total War Pharaoh Dynasties, and that's okay. I think expanding the map all the way to Susa here and the Zagros Mountains is a pretty decent compromise. So, as Elam, we start off with one army, and that army is Halutash in Shushinak's army. So you might notice when I pronounce Hittite words, I usually pronounce the H's as H, and that's because that's how that's probably how it was pronounced. But in Elamite, it appears to have been a softer H, like a H. And then eventually in later Elamite, in the Persian period, it became not pronounced at all. But in this period, it may or may not have been pronounced. Anyway, the pronunciation issues of Elamite aside, let's take down this rebel army here in Elam province. And this rebel army belongs to who knows who they are, but they are some Mesopotamian raiders. So you can see they're Akkadian farmers, so Semitic Mesopotamians, and Akkadian militia. And then they have a heavy sword and shield bodyguard, whereas Halutash and Shushinak has a club and shield bodyguard, so a little more, I'd say, defensive. And then you have Elamite defenders, who are these light spearmen, who have pretty good speed, but low lethality. But they're good at holding the line. So those are good. These guys are good for holding the center battle line as we flank with units like the Elamite warriors, who are axemen. And they do have shields, so they have pretty good defense as well. And then, of course, we have the Elamite vanguard. This is a very light unit, but they have pretty good attack because of their two-handed weapon there. And we have bowmen and Elamite slingers as well. So you can see the difference between the slingers and the bowmen is that the slingers have low missile lethality, and the Elamite bowmen are a tiny bit worse in melee defense, but a little better in melee attack. So that's interesting. Anyway, let's get into the battle here and take down these Mesopotamian raiders. Okay, so at the beginning of Total War Pharaoh battles, you have this weather screen that comes up. This is from previous games as well. So let's wait, because I hate fighting in the rain. Okay, so current weather is dry. That's perfect. So let's deploy our troops. Let's take a look at our units. So we have our Elamite bowmen. We have our general's bodyguard, the sort of clubman here with large shields. I like the shield design. And then we have slingers with pretty large shields. for slingers. And then the Elamite warriors who have axes, and then the Elamite defenders, and then the two-handed clubmen. So the clubmen and the axemen should definitely be on the flanks, because these guys are going to well, basically, the Elamite defenders have pretty low lethality as spearmen, so they're going to take the brunt of the enemy charge at the start, where they're going to hold the battle line with their high melee defense, and our axemen and clubmen are going to go around the sides. I'm going to have our general actually hold the right flank, because he's also pretty defensive as well. And then let's move our slingers and archers to the front to start to whittle away at the enemy troops. And we'll move our battle line forward a little bit. And we'll move our warriors, our axemen, to the right flank. I do wish the names of the warriors and the vanguard were a little bit more clear, because I constantly have to double check. Okay, so it seems like these raiders have done a similar thing. They have their farmers, which are a two-handed club unit, go on the flank here. So we are ready for them with our own unit. So we'll move our axemen into flank from the right flank, and we'll have our spearmen. Let's turn on guard mode for them. Oh, not for the general, for the spearmen. Okay, so let's charge these farmers from the flank. And we'll have our axemen charge their farmers that have charged our spearmen. These farmers chose the wrong kingdom to raid. All right, so our vanguard is going to hit their farmers from the flank. And we're really taking them out. Yeah, those guys are routing. That's perfect. And these farmers are getting taken down as well by the axemen. So let's turn off guard mode for our spearmen here. Actually, spearmen, you chase down the farmers, and then axemen, I'll set you up here, and we'll charge the enemy farmers from the flank again. Oh. They came to attack our axemen, so let's have our defenders hit them. Oh, the enemy general. Whoops. My mistake. Let's have our general move flank the enemy general. Okay, our axemen really did a number on their farmers, so that's perfect. Okay, so our general is going to flank their general right now. And they are routing. Perfect. So, did the general die? I think he did. So the enemy army just asked, how could it end like this? So I will tell them. They tried to take down Elam with a bunch of farmers with no armor and no shirts either. So that is how that happened. Yeah, the enemy general has not died just yet. But I want our missile units to stop. I want to minimize friendly fire. One of our spear units took heavy damage, the one in the center. But our other units are pretty intact, which is good. So let's fast forward here. Oh, we got him. Okay. Decisive victory. So we ended up losing 100 troops. A little more than I wanted to. If I didn't make a mistake, I made some mistakes when commanding my spearmen in the center. I wanted them to chase that other Akkadian unit while it was still engaged with the general. That was my mistake. Okay. All right. So let's... Should I do they belong to us now and take them as our own soldiers? Or should I keep them as prisoners? You know what? Let's replenish our units. Okay. So now let's move our king to the border here. And I want to do some local recruitment. So Elam starts with one sort of barracks. And it's the mustering hall here in Susa. And the mustering hall gives us access to... It gives us access to the Elamite Vanguard unit, which is a pretty decent unit, but of course I want to recruit more than just the Vanguard and the Hillmen. The Hillmen are pretty... No, they're useful, but I want better units. If we upgrade this building, which we don't have the resources for, we don't have the workmen for, we'll get access to veteran archers, Elamite veteran infantry, veteran vanguard, and veteran slingers, which is good. But for that, I need another workman. So let's see what we can do about that. So we have these buildings right now. Kabnak is a gold settlement, so we have a gold mine there. Madaktu is a lumber settlement, so we have logging grounds. And Susa is a food settlement, always my favorite. So we have Silt Farm, Moorland, increasing our farms. And we also have the Grand Temple of Inshushinak, which gives us some pretty nice bonuses to our army. Anyway, what should we do? I think I want to get access to some better units so that I'll be able to really outclass the armies of our neighbors. So what I should do is focus on increasing workforce growth. And I do have a building, which is the Silt Farm Canals, that if I upgrade to the Moorland, will increase my workforce growth. However, it will cost me workforce. You know what? That's what I'm going to do. That's what I'm going to do. Yeah, I think I'm going to upgrade our farms. That's always a good idea, because everything else can come with time. And let's recruit some vanguard unit and a couple of hillmen. So we'll use the hillmen for flanking because of their excellent battle speed. Other than that, we also have outposts here. So I think I want to make an outpost here in Susa. So Susa has a shrine of Inshushinak, which does minus 40% upkeep for armies in this region, which is quite cool. We also have the wonder Chorazambil. Chorazambil, of course, is a third millennium ziggurat, a pretty old one. And actually, the name is Iranian. You might notice it's Persian, because we actually don't know the Elamite name of the site, so we call it Chorazambil after the Persian name for the site. We could do a Mesopotamian trading post, which increases 10% production of all resources. Mesopotamian monument, which gives us legitimacy. I don't think we need that in Susa. Way station we definitely don't need. That'll do attrition immunity, but this is our home region. We don't need that. I think what we want is the economic outpost. Yeah, economic outpost. And then once we have Pashime and our border extends all the way towards Mesopotamia and deeper into this Iraq region, we will construct a military outpost right on the border here. And then I can have an army stationed there with very low upkeep. So let's... I worked on the outpost construction. Oh, our king can upgrade his stats. So he has a presence, fortitude, and ardor. And if we get to... he's at level 3 fortitude. So if we get to level 5, then that'll increase the melee defense of the army and replenishment up 10%. So that is pretty cool. So I'm going to go for fortitude. Okay, so let's end the turn. All right. So another thing to note as we look at the lovely nighttime map is the faction we're going to have to fight to the north here. They are the Igihalkid faction, and they're kind of like the Gutians or Zagros tribes. Now, Mesopotamia was kind of under the loose control of the Kassite kingdom of Babylon, but here it's a little bit more divided, and I actually like this because if you... there's an article by a scholar named Seth Richardson from University of Chicago, and in it he talks about the power projection in early empires and how we basically give way too much credit to empires. Like if you look at something like the Seleucid Empire, did the Seleucid Empire have like very strong control of all the regions spread out throughout the empire? Like, no, it didn't. And that's why when they came up against a strong foe that knew the terrain they were dealing with, like the Parthians, they were able to conquer large swaths of territory quite quickly. And in general, empires could fall quickly if you put pressure on the right spots and at the right times. So basically, I actually like having a divided Mesopotamia like this, because the Kassites really were not beacons of central control. Now, anyway, let's recruit one more Hillman unit. I don't want to waste too much bronze. So once we have the 2 hillmen, I think we'll be ready to attack Pashime. So what are we going to do? We have an outpost under construction, an economic one in Susa. In Kabnak, since Kabnak is also, it's a gold settlement and it's like pretty well protected, like we don't have anybody on our eastern border, I think it might be a good idea to construct something economic there as well. So I don't think a temple would be necessary there, but maybe a water well to increase workforce growth would be a good idea. I think that would be a good idea. So you know what? I'm going to go for that. Let's try to get our workforce growth up really high. And then can we construct another economic outpost? Yes, I think we can. So let's construct a trading post here in Kabnak. And yeah, I think that'll be it for this turn, because we're still recruiting. So yeah, let's end the turn here. Okay, so here we are. Oh, we have an option to increase our worship of Inshushinak here. So yeah, let's choose Inshushinak. Yeah, so Inshushinak gives minus 20% upkeep, or at the moment, we've increased our tier, so minus 40% upkeep. Oh, I see. So we have our general who's devoted, and that gives plus 5% melee defense and plus 25% captives taken. That's pretty nice. That's pretty nice. I want to do Inshushinak because he's the Elamite god that's on this list. He's the only one. All the other ones are not Elamite. I like that there are a lot of different culture gods right here that are not as well known, like the sun goddess of Arina for the Hittites, Tarhuna. Actually, the English word Tarragon, in Armenian Tarhun, are from Tarhuna, the Hittite god of thunder. And Kumarbi is a Hurrian god. So that's cool as well. Anyway, I should stop nerding out here. Yeah, let's get our general devoted. Yeah, there we go. Okay, sorry, I thought I had clicked that. Okay, so now I think let's go attack Pashime. Do you want to declare war on this faction? Yeah, that's fine. They have no allies. We have to unite our Elamite province. Okay, so yeah, the enemy troops, they're also Elamite. And they're not that strong. We have more troops. So let's just auto-resolve this one. There you go. Okay. There we go. And let's occupy it. We're not going to loot it because it's part of our province of northern Elam. And I do like how it says sacred land of our ancestors, part of northern Elam. That's pretty cool. Oh, we have a new follower for our king. An Assyrian mercenary. I like that. It's kind of like the ancillaries of Total War's past. So now that we have... Yeah, let's increase our fortitude. Let's increase our fortitude some more. So now, yeah, now that we have united all of Elam, we can do an edict. And what I want to do is... I like doing things that don't have negative effects, so I'm going to do Royal Gardens. That increases our production 5% and has no negative effects. So I'll probably regret that later, but that's fine. In any case, there's another enemy army there, up to the north, controlled by Kidin Hutran III, another Elamite king, who's at the Mesopotamian city of Deir right now. So I think having united northern Elam under our banner, I think that that's a good place to stop for this episode of the Elamite playthrough. So I'll be continuing this because I do like the Elamites, and I'm enjoying Total War Pharaoh Dynasties Edition far more than I enjoyed the original Total War Pharaoh. And I'm enjoying it more because of the map expansion and the new factions. So, yeah. And I get to build temples of Inshushinak in a Total War game, and that's always a plus. So if you enjoy videos about the historical Total Wars and their mods, consider liking this video, subscribing to the channel, and I'll see you in the next one later.